Strangely, I feel like if I were to do the review this way, the quality would not be affected whatsoever. Hello everyone, David here. So here I am to finally bring you guys my review of one of the most talked about things throughout the entire year that had anything to do with pop culture because of how they were releasing, the type of medium that they were releasing this property in. And that is, of course, the Netflix Marvel television show, Daredevil. Now, the reason for why this took so long is because, obviously, I don't have Netflix, so I had to find other means to watch this show. Gotta get into that. But anyways, besides that, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a binge watcher. I can't do what other people do, which is to block a whole weekend and dedicate that weekend to watching a show back-to-back episodes, like just marathon through that whole thing. I can't do that. I can maybe watch about 3 episodes maximum before I eventually say, okay, you know what, I have to set this to the side, I have to go eat, I have to go do something else, because too much of anything, even if it's good, it, you know, can get kind of droll after a while. Even an amazing show like Daredevil or playing a video game or something like that, I have to set it down and change things up so that I can feel new again when I play the game or when I watch the TV or the movie or whatever. And so, because of that, I don't binge watch shows. So when it came to Daredevil or any show that I'm watching at the moment at all, I actually do the episodic thing of watching 1 episode per week and treat it like a regular TV show. And for the longest time, I thought I was a very weird guy to do that. But fortunately, I was recently pleasantly surprised to learn that I wasn't the only one who does that. I've learned from some other folks that they too spaced out their viewings of each episode for Daredevil, whether it be to watch 1 a week like I did, or at least watch one a night until they were through all 13 episodes. And so that's why it took so long to get this review up and going. Now, even though all the episodes are out there available to watch, especially if you have a Netflix account, I'm going to go ahead and stay away from spoilers, because being that it's so accessible, I feel the need to just save things up for your viewing if you manage to be some of the few folks who skipped out on Daredevil, which should be very few of you. For those of you who have not been convinced, hopefully my review will do you justice. In Marvel's Daredevil, Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox, plays a lawyer by day, but a vigilante by night. And so he tries to rid Hell's Kitchen, which is this little section of New York City, of crime. But in order to do so, he must overcome everything that is thrown at him by the powerful and very psychotic philanthropist, Wilson Fisk. So after securing the rights from Fox after the Ben Affleck movie, Marvel was able to bring Daredevil in a way that we have never seen before, much darker, much grittier, but at the same time make sure that the quality is there. And they figured out a way to do so, and that is through a TV show. Bring forward 13 episodes to fully flesh out this character as well as all the supporting characters and bring us a very engrossing story that does the character justice as well as the story, and make sure that Marvel's stamp is still on it, because despite Daredevil being quite gruesome at times, I mean, it has a TVMA rating, which is, I think, the closest you'll get to seeing an R-rated type of property with Marvel's stamp. And when I say Marvel, I don't mean just Marvel in combination with another studio like for example Blade or something like that. If they were to make another Blade movie, chances are there's a studio out there that still has the rights to Blade. I believe it's it might be Fox, but I don't think it's Fox. I think it's some other company. But anyways, if you were to see a Blade movie and it gets the R rating, you wouldn't be all that surprised because it's in conjunction with another studio. It's not Marvel. It's not Marvel Entertainment, Marvel Studios, who are bringing us the Avengers movies, the Captain America movies. And they're the ones who brought us Daredevil with the dark and gruesome universe that it comes along with it. But at the same time, it never goes overboard. They're able to manage to find a balance in tone. They're able to keep the violence in the dark tone while at the same time bringing forward that atmosphere and even some of the humor, not too much, not as much as other properties like the Avengers, which is light and colorful, but still be able to bring that familiarity that we've seen Marvel do with some of the most recent movies that they've been doing in their Marvel cinematic universe, besides the fact that Daredevil, the TV show, is also connected to that universe. Not only with references to, you know, the Avengers and other type of stuff and little Easter eggs here and there, but also the foundation for the premise, the reason why Wilson Fisk has taken advantage of trying to expand his control over Hell's Kitchen, and why Matt Murdock is trying to fight this expansion, is because after the events of the Avengers, you know, some cost of property, especially in Hell's Kitchen, which apparently received the most amount of damage after that Battle of New York, is going down. So he's taking advantage of that, and Matt Murdock is acknowledging that and trying to bring justice, both as a lawyer and as a vigilante, to that. And I find that to be a very, very clever move on Marvel's part. That doesn't make it seem like, oh, hey, look, it's the Avengers. Yeah, you see that newspaper clipping? Ah, the Avengers. It's nothing like that. It feels much more, I know this is going to sound kind of pretentious, but organically sewn to the MCU. And what's also able to make that story awesome and clever is the casting for these characters, which I think is an ensemble cast that was one of the best things that Marvel has done when it came to casting choices and picking the right people. Charlie Cox nails that as Daredevil. You got other characters in the supporting cast that are almost as memorable, if not even more memorable and more substantial to the story, like Karen, who at the beginning of the show, this character, she comes in and you think she's only going to be in the show for like 1, maybe 2 seasons or so, because she's involved in the case that Matt and Foggy over here are looking into, but then she sticks around for literally the entire season and becomes a regular of the show. I was like, wow. And she brings something, she brings this glue not only to the characters involved, especially the dynamic between Foggy and Matt, but also the show in general. She brings so much together, and I feel like she's one of the most underrated characters throughout that entire show. I mean, a lot of people give praises to Charlie Cox and even Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, who I'm going to talk about in a second, but I feel like her as Karen, I can't remember the actress's name, and I feel bad, I'm sorry. But I feel like she's one of the unsung heroes of this cast. So you just heard me mention this guy, Foggy Nelson, who is presented as the sidekick. He was played by Jon Favreau in the original Ben Affleck movie. And here, again, I can't remember this actor's name, but he nails it. Because for the first handful of episodes, like 3 or 4 episodes, he is that comic relief, but he's a lovable guy. He does his job well, you know, he's not a bumbling buffoon like, oh my gosh, look at me, I'm funny. He's not like that. He's an easygoing guy that you can relate to, and you can even relate to him even more because as the show progresses, especially towards the end, he takes a dramatic turn that makes you really feel for him. And he ended up also being one of the highlights of the show. Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin couldn't have been any better. He just stole every scene that he was in. He was unnerving, he was threatening, he was just impulsive and psychotic, but at the same time, something that makes a great villain is a villain that believes that he or she is right. That they're the ones who is trying to bring a new ushering of age to whatever type of setting the story is taking place in, which in this case is Hell's Kitchen. And that is essentially what the type of role that Wilson Fisk fills in the show. And he just brought his A game to here. You know, he didn't just treat it like a silly comic book TV show. No, he was born to play this role. I mean, this was just perfect casting. And again, you felt for this character. Because there's a couple of episodes that actually touch upon his backstory, him being a little kid and what he went through, and what made him evolve into the ruthless being that he is now, as well as just bringing him this dimension that you wouldn't have seen in any other iteration of Fisk, especially in that original Daredevil. I mean, I love you, Michael Clark Duncan, rest in peace, bro, but that Kingpin was just practically generic. You could have swapped out that villain for another and wouldn't have made that much of a difference. Whereas here, not only was he able to bring in those characteristics that we know him from the comics as well, but again, the writers were bringing these elements to humanize Wilson Fisk and to make you feel bad for him and to make you wish that he could have taken a different path, but instead he chose this one, and now he has to live with consequences, and we have to watch him deal with those consequences, whether it be through the means of violence or influence. And then you have one of my 2 wives, Rosario Dawson, in the show, who plays Claire. She manages to factor into Matt's life in a way that is different than everybody else, at least initially. And without getting into too much detail, let's just say that she is where I felt like the show took its first little bump on the road on what I thought was a marvelous show. It started to show its first blemish, which was her character and mainly how she fit in to the overall grand picture of season 1, which is not a whole lot. Because after a while, she legitimately disappears. She's mainly brought into the story to kind of reflect upon a certain side to Matt's nature, of what it's like to be Matt and for him to be Daredevil at night. What it's like for him to have to deal with something that he can't have because of the things that he does at night and the choices that he has to make. Why he can't have this specific person in his life, and that's mainly why her character is in this story. Besides that, and once they explored that certain side of Matt's character, they literally just say, okay, you're done, out of here, and she is just gone. And I'm like, if you're gonna do that, cast somebody else. Otherwise, you know, this is Rosario Dawson. Besides being Rosario Dawson, she is a really great actress, and I wanted to see her bring some more to her character and bring some more to the story. But instead, it's almost like she just served her time in the story in the first season, and then she was gone. And then she came back for a very brief moment towards the back half of the first season, and then once again gone. And let's just say you don't really remember her as much as you do the other characters. And there's a couple of other characters that are very, very interesting. Some on the hero side, some even on the villain side that I really, really liked. But I'm gonna go ahead and save those up and have you experience them for yourself if you haven't already watched the show. Now, something that I wasn't exactly prepared for is that a rather sizable amount of the show, it goes beyond the antics of super heroics, because when you are dealing with a show like Daredevil and you go into watch, you're expecting all this cool stuff, action sequence, him dealing with the responsibilities of being a hero, and the show tackling those themes. But along with that, also it treats itself like a courtroom drama, because obviously we're dealing with lawyers here. Our main character is a lawyer, so obviously they're going to try to make him approach our main antagonist through the means of the law. Besides using his fists while being a vigilante, he's also going to try to take down his influence, his expansion, through the means of the law as much as he can without ever crossing that line, which is again another theme that this show explores that I really, really enjoyed. However, this also spawned what is probably my biggest complaint with season 1, is that there's a slight lull to the pacing and the momentum of the entire thing, striking this balance between the cool actiony superhero stuff and the courtroom drama, or just plain drama period, when it came to some of the background of these characters like Matt or Wilson. It had this perfect balance of those two things in the first handful of episodes, and especially the last half. But there's a point around episode 4, 5, maybe 6, where I felt like it was spinning its wheels just a little bit. I felt like Matt was being the same from episode to episode, and there was really no development with his character until we brought forward this character that flashed back to his childhood and explored how he became the fighter that he is, and that was awesome. And I was like, okay, finally we bringing this back. And then his friendship with Foggy hits a snag, to put it mildly, and seeing the development going on there, that was also excellent. But I just felt like there was a lull where I was having just a little bit of trouble grasping onto what everybody was raving about this show in that 4th, 5th, or 6th episode, around there. I don't know exactly where to pinpoint it, but it's there. But that second half of the show comes back with some spectacular action sequences, and trust me, that other aspect of this show, when it deals with everything that has to do with Marvel, which is being a superhero, it really brings it, and it's so badass, with plenty of memorable choreography and action sequences. And even before that lull, it manages to bring that with this tracking shot of a fight sequence at the end of the second episode, where it's like a full 4 or 5 minute action sequence that was all done in one shot, seemingly. I don't know if they actually did it in one shot, or if maybe there were a couple of invisible edits, but it's magnificent to watch. I was just mesmerized, like, oh my god, this is great. But besides that, there's plenty of other great action sequences throughout the entire first season. I mean, when you think you've seen it all, they keep trying to raise the bar with the acrobatics and just all the different things that they try to do. My only other slight complaint is the fact that, similar to Smallville, and hopefully this is not that much of a spoiler, but he has the black simplistic suit throughout all of season 1 until literally the last scene at the end of the season. The last scene of the last episode is where he finally gets his red suit, which you've already seen pictures of, so that's not that big of a spoiler. But I don't know, I just wish that they would have changed it up and had that suit be revealed a little earlier, like around episode 8 or 9 or something like that. Give us a couple of episodes to see that suit in action. But fortunately, more than I can say with Smallville, the suit was real. It wasn't some CG shit, and you actually saw it in action. You saw a really substantial fight sequence with him being in that suit that I felt like it was a good capper for that finale. Besides not always being the most polished with its writing, whether it be a certain plotline that I felt was resolved a little too early in the finale, or this rather cheesy moment with Rosario Dawson that, I mean, the show was going for this grounded reality, but there was this moment that I felt was a little too 90s superhero when this character tried to make Daredevil seem much more badass than he is, and I'm like, no, don't say that, please. Besides moments in the writing here and there like that, I felt like Daredevil was truly something special, something that was appropriate for its medium to be released through Netflix, all episodes streaming. But on top of that, it gave Marvel a leeway to be able to explore this character in the way that he's supposed to, while at the same time trying not to betray the image that Marvel already set for itself with the actual cinematic universe that you see up on the big screen in theaters. So it was a smart move to move Daredevil to the smaller screen, while at the same time giving the makers of the show, Drew Goddard, who wrote some of the episodes, he mainly created the show, but a couple of episodes he, I believe, scripted, but the directors, the writers, everybody involved with this project had this sense of liberty to be able to tackle the character in a way that's never been done before and do it right. And I felt like this just got it right. So, considering my slight complaints with the show, I felt like there was the good for the show is severely outweighs the bad. So for that, I give the first season of Daredevil a low 9 out of 10. Never been a Netflix user, but honestly, prior to its release next year, I believe season 2 will finally make me a member and pop my Netflix cherry. Matt, here it is. So, that was really weird. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of Season 1 of Daredevil, and what do you look forward to in Season 2? We got some of the casting reveals of Jon Bernthal from The Walking Dead to play the Punisher. I can't remember her name, but this actress has been cast as Elektra, who is going to be in the show, and from the photos of these two actors, this actor and actress, I felt like they're nailing the casting once again. But I'm curious to see what direction they take the show in Season 2. Very, very curious. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time.